All right, I know I said that the last one that I did was going to be the last single gig, post gig breakdown, and that I was going to start doing them on a week by week basis, which I am going to move in that direction, but something unique happened yesterday that I thought was worth making a separate video for. And essentially, as you can see in the title, it's about rain. And so I played at the city market yesterday, and I'm scheduled to play there again tonight, but I'm having to pull out, or I'm choosing to pull out, because yesterday it rained quite heavy, and I was underneath some tents, and it just didn't matter. And this is the second time that I've played, well, at this particular event, and had that happen where the rain comes down, it comes down fast and hard, and you don't have a lot of time to react, and then the gear gets really wet. And so today, I wanted to talk about kind of an approach to that, what my approach is. Obviously, my approach needs to improve because my gear got about as wet as it ever has yesterday. And so, but I guess I could start by saying I decided to cancel for tonight because my equipment it got soaked, and I pulled it all out. I took it upstairs onto some carpet. I dried it all off with towels. It ends up being this big labor, that just isn't worth it. And then there's also a huge risk that I'm going to lose some of this equipment, and time will tell. I mean, I might not even know. I could turn it, so I'm going to wait a few days before I turn it back on, because if there's water lodged in there, then and I turn an electrical current on, that could cause the problem. So I want to give it some chance to actually dry out as much as is possible, that all the water can dry out. Then I'll turn it on and see where I'm at. But I use it as an opportunity to talk about rain and sort of strategies towards weather. And the main thing that I could mention is I have a contract that I use with most private events that I do. And in that contract, I added a weather clause because I noticed through doing different gigs, when I would encounter weather, a lot of times people want to push forward and do the event anyway. And I generally want to, it creates this tension where I have my equipment that, I'm potentially putting at risk, and there's no, guarantee as to whether or not the people are going to help me if the equipment gets damaged. And actually, there was one event that really sealed it for me. I played an event on an island where you had to take a ferry to the island, and it was for a wedding ceremony and then a rehearsal, or then a dinner. And it started to rain, and it was forecasted to rain, and they wanted to move forward anyway. And the ferry, maybe was not going to go, or maybe was going to go, and so it was there was tension and uncertainty, but they really wanted me to be there, and so I went ahead and did it. And then what ended up happening was I had to move equipment because it started raining, and so I moved it onto this porch, this protected porch, where the sound could still kind of reach the ceremony area, but at least I was mostly protected from the rain. Well, what happened was a lot of the people sought shelter in this porch area, or in the house that it was attached to. It's like a little house where it was sort of the changing room for the bride. And a bunch of people came in there, and they shook their umbrellas off all over my equipment. I couldn't believe it. It was you just it's like, you just can't wrap your mind around how anybody would do that. Like, how you could do that. I just couldn't. I still can't believe it. But just a whole bunch of people did. It wasn't just one. It was a bunch of the people that had umbrellas came in, and as soon as they got under the roof of this sort of sheltered area, then they would shake their umbrellas off, and so much of it was just going right onto my equipment. And I was right there. So it's like, I don't know how they could not understand that they were doing that. And so what that showed me is I cannot count on other people to be considerate or thoughtful when it comes to protecting my equipment. And these are even like in the most sensible, simple ways, beyond just if it's going to rain and we move forward anyway. The guests of an event may be completely ridiculous when it comes to their behavior and how they act with regards to the safety of my equipment. So from that point on, I decided that, if it's going to rain, even if I move under a roof, I'm still under the threat of people with umbrellas. So I needed to add a clause to my contract. And so when I do private events, there's a clause in my contract that says if there's a threat of weather, if weather poses a threat, then and the client chooses to move forward with the event and Noah's performance in spite of the risks, then the client takes full financial responsibility for all of Noah's equipment. Any damages that are done to Noah's equipment or to Noah himself, the client takes full responsibility for that. And I also maintain the ability to cancel, to refuse service. I maintain the right to refuse service if I think the conditions are too unfavorable. And so in this situation with the market, I'm not going to have a contract, and maybe there will be many events that you might do or that somebody might do that there's not going to be a contract, and the market's definitely not going to take responsibility for my equipment. And the relationship can be a little bit more difficult to negotiate for a variety of reasons. The people that run the market are quite busy. They don't have a lot of time. They've got hundreds of vendors and people moving pieces, and so there's just not enough time in the day to spend a significant amount of time with any particular issue or any particular person. And then also there's not enough money that the market has to be able to offer something like that. So I don't think that would be, they would never offer that. So then I just have to assert myself to do what I need to do to look out for my own best interest. And if that means that the market isn't a viable opportunity because the interests are conflicting, then we just got to be honest about that, and ideally respectfully honest about that, and no hard feelings. So that's, I guess I can leave it there. I keep this one really short and just say, when it comes to rain, you need to protect your equipment. And if you have, like I've got quite a bit of money, quite a lot of money that's wrapped up in the gear that I use, and it's just too much to leverage over a city market gig. The city market gig pays $100 for 3 hours, and then you get tips. But a lot of the reason you play the market isn't really just for the pay. The pay is kind of low. It's for the market opportunity, for the opportunity that the market is. Everyone under the sun goes through the market. It's a very unique, special place, and you can look at it as a privilege or honor. I think it's just a really cool opportunity, a unique opportunity to connect with people of all different kinds, and a unique challenge that I like to take on. And there's a lot I like about it. So to me, that's what kind of makes it worth it. But you got to protect your gear. And so if you have, I think you need to not worry about if other people don't see eye to eye with you and they think that you're being cheap or you're being lazy or whatever it is. At the end of the day, you need to do what's right for you. You need to protect your equipment. And I can't afford, if some of my equipment gets damaged by the rain yesterday, that outweighs like months and months of gigging at the market every weekend. And so I just can't take those risks. And so that's just something that I recommend to any musicians out there, anybody that's out there doing work where you have equipment that becomes threatened. You need to either have a contract that protects you, or you could get insurance. But for me, I'm sort of a believer, if you don't have to get insurance, then don't get it, because the fundamental thing about insurance companies is they want to turn a profit and they don't want to pay out. They make their money by taking more money in than putting money out. And so I tend to think, it's not always the case, but I tend to think in the case of most insurance policies, if it were truly in your financial interest to buy that, then the insurance company would be broke. So that's my view. So if I don't have to buy insurance, I don't, and I'm trying to look for other ways of protecting myself. And so that's better decision making, from outside, in advance, better decision making, or protecting myself through the contracts. And so that's gig breakdown number 5. Just focusing on rain, and then from here, I'll be doing gig breakdowns, I think, once a week, and just kind of boiling the main lessons from any of my gigs that particular week together, and trying to keep the videos to 10 minutes or less. Thanks for watching the video. See you in the next one.